diploid or haploid. A parent either contain diploid number of chromosome means 2n or contain haploid number of chromosome n. So the gamete is, remember, whether the parent is diploid or haploid, that's not matter. It's matter that the gamete is always haploid. Gamete is always haploid. You have to remember this. The gamete is always haploid. Parent may be diploid or haploid, means either 2n contain 2n number of chromosome or n number of chromosome, but the gamete is always contain n number of chromosome, which is called your haploid. So how these haploid gametes formed by the diploid and haploid parents? You can see here, if the parent is diploid, means the parent has 2n number of chromosome, then it goes through meiosis. First, this is meiosis 1 and it produces half the number of chromosome, means n. Then again, after formation of n, they go through meiosis 2. As we know, meiosis 2 is equivalent with mitosis. So here the n gives the equal number of chromosome, means n. So here you can see 4 gametes are formed. Gametes are formed. Here the parent is diploid, but the diploid parent forms haploid gamete through meiosis. Remember students, diploid parent produces haploid gametes through which cell division? Through meiosis. Exactly, let's see what happened in haploid parent. This is haploid parent, and as we know, the gamete is also haploid. So here, is the parent go through meiosis or mitosis? It will not go through meiosis. Clear? As it already contains half the number of chromosome. Already it contains half. So how it will be get reduced? So it will go through mitosis. This is called mitosis. Mitosis means equational division. So what happened here? The parent means which contains n number of chromosome gives the equal number of chromosome to the gamete. So means here the gamete formed through mitosis and here the gamete formed through meiosis. From this we can prove that a diploid parent goes through meiosis to form haploid gamete and a haploid parent goes through mitosis to form haploid gamete. So this is how different organisms produce their gametes. And another thing you have to remember, the gamete formed by a male is always large in number, whether the gamete formed by a female is small in number. You can see how the gametes are formed. Is that clear, students? So some species of Pteridophyta, Gymnosperm, clear, Gymnosperm and Bryophytes produces their gametes through mitosis, whereas higher organisms, means higher plants and higher animals also produce their gametes through meiosis, as the parent is diploid. Is that clear, students? So you can see how they are produce different type of gametes. So we can see that different parts of the plant contain different sex organs. As I have told you, male sex organ present in males, female sex organ is present in female. So if we consider the earthworm, cockroach, then your cycas, pinus, then human beings, the gametes are formed in particular places. Means in the, we can say as the mother cell. Suppose megaspore mother cell forms female gamete, microspore mother cell produce male gamete, and like so on. So different type of organisms produce gametes here. Let's see what are the chromosome number in different organisms. As we know, the chromosome number, if the parent has diploid number of chromosome, if it produces haploid number of gamete, means its gamete is haploid, then here the transfer of chromosome occurs, means half the chromosome from the parent moves towards the gametes during gamete formation or during cell division. So let's see how many chromosomes are present in different organisms. As we know, human being contain 46 number of chromosomes. Clear? So here we can see how many chromosomes are contained by different organisms. So how we will write this? We can write this, suppose name of the organism, which is the organism. Then the chromosome number in the meiocyte. Meiocyte means 2n. Remember, meiocyte means 2n. Clear, students? So and then number of gametes. Then number of gametes. So if meiocyte is represented as 2n, then the number of gametes is represented as n. So let's see. Suppose, for example, human beings. The organism is human. The meiocyte contains 46 and the gamete contain half of it, means n. So upon 2 means 23. Clear, students? So meiocyte of human being contains 46 chromosome, whereas the gamete contain 23 number of chromosome. Exactly, if we see housefly. Housefly has 2n number of chromosome, means 12, and its gamete has the number of chromosome, that is 6. So we can say that how diploid parents give half the number of gamete and the gamete contains half the chromosome of that species. So on, we can see how different type of organisms contain different type of gametes. Suppose here another example, maize. Maize means makka. It has 20 chromosome, means it's 2n, or meiocyte contain 20 chromosome, so its gamete contain 10 chromosome. In case of honeybee, as you know, the honeybee contain its meiocyte contain 32 chromosome, whereas the gamete contain 16 chromosome. So these are how we can see the diploid parent and haploid parent have shared the different chromosome numbers. So you have to understand this. There is a table given in your NCERT book. You can follow the NCERT book and then you can learn those and can make a chart. Clear? Make a chart and then send to me. And you have to also learn or memorize it. So students, this is completion of your gamete formation. Next, let's move to study about gamete transfer. Next topic is our gamete transfer. So as we know, how gametes transfer? After gametogenesis, gamete transfer we will study. Gametes are transferred through different means. As we know, the female gamete is static or constant. Female is static. Static means constant. It will not move. So the male gamete is motile. Male gamete is motile. Male gamete is motile. So the male have to move towards the female gametes. That's why it needs a medium. Again, it needs a medium. The medium may be through biotic agents or through abiotic agents. So the agents are divided into biotic and abiotic. Biotic means when the transfer of gamete, which we can say as pollination in case of plants. So biotic means living organisms and abiotic means non-living organisms. So in living organisms we can include animals, birds, insects, etc. Whereas in abiotic agents means non-living agents, we can say as air and water. Some species need air and some species need water to transfer their gametes. If we see the species of algae and bryophytes, they need the water medium. Without water, algae and bryophytes can't reproduce because their gametes are transferred through water medium, means their pollination occurs in water. That's why without or absent of water medium, algae and bryophytes can't reproduce. So here the medium is water, means water helps in the transfer of male gamete towards the female gamete. Next, air. In some monocots like your rice, maize, barley, etc. Here what happen? Here air is the pollinating agent, means through air their pollen grains are goes towards the female part and there they fertilize. And as we know, insects are also help in pollination, and insects are the most pollinating agents in the world, means maximum pollination occurs through these insects. Along with insects, some birds and animals are also helps in transforming the gametes. So we can say that the gamete transfer occurs through different means biotic and abiotic, which we will study later in chapter 2. So students, here I have told you about pollination, means transfer of gamete is called pollination, and the pollinating agents are biotic and abiotic. They include animals, birds, insects, etc., and in abiotic, air and water. Is that clear, students? So this is your gamete transfer. After gamete transfer, the next event is our fertilization. As we know, fertilization is the process of fusion of male and female gamete to give zygote. Next is fertilization. Fertilization means fusion of male and female gamete to form zygote is called fertilization. So again students, fertilization is of two types. One is external fertilization and another is internal fertilization. External and internal fertilization. External means when fertilization occurs outside the body. Fertilization occurs outside the body. And in internal fertilization, inside the body. As I have told you that the species of algae, bryophytes and some species of pteridophytes also they source external fertilization, and in case of frog means amphibians also show external fertilization. So here we can say algae, bryophytes and some species of pteridophytes also. So external fertilization in case of plants as well as in animals, amphibians. So external fertilization means their fertilization occurs in water medium. The male gamete releases the sperm into water and the female releases the female gamete into the water body, and their fertilization occurs. Means here the fertilization not takes place inside the body of the female. Here fertilization takes place outside the body of female, means in the water. That's why here we can say as amphibians say. So external fertilization means outside the body, and internal fertilization is shown by all the higher organisms, including your birds, reptiles and all mammals. All mammals show internal fertilization, means fertilization is occur within the body. Clear students? So next is your what are some more organisms. Let's know about in which fertilization does not occur but they produce zygote. Clear? Fertilization will not occur. We will take some examples to understand this. I think you understand what is external and internal fertilization with example. Next we will see some organisms do not fertilize but still they get converted into a new organism. Suppose your turkey. Turkey is a bird. It produces another zygote without fertilization. Turkey produces zygote or embryo without fertilization. Clear? Next is your whip-tailed lizard. Whip-tailed lizard. This also form a new organism without fertilization. Again your drone, which is male honeybee. Drone or called as male honeybee. This is also produced by the unfertilized egg of the female. Clear? So these are called as the organisms which produce zygote or produce a new organism without fertilization. Clear students? I think clear, your concept is clear about fertilization. Here I am going to tell you about parthenogenesis. You know about parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis means formation of fruit without fertilization. It means formation of fruit without fertilization. Means fruit will form but fertilization will not occur. Although we know that without fertilization there will be no fruit formation occur, but here in case of parthenogenesis, fruit is formed without fertilization, and this can be seen in banana. Banana is the example of parthenogenesis. Clear? And the process we can say as students, one is called your parthenogenesis. Here is some confusing terms will come. You can see. One is parthenogenesis and one is parthenocarpy. Parthenogenesis is referred to animals and parthenocarpy is referred to plants. So here we cannot say that parthenogenesis. We can say as parthenocarpy. Banana is a parthenocarpic fruit. But here above the organisms without fertilization, these are called as parthenogenesis. The process is here called parthenogenesis, and for banana, for plants, we can say as parthenocarpy. Parthenocarpy. So banana is called a parthenocarpic fruit. Clear, students? Next is your post fertilization event. This is all about your fertilization event. Next is post fertilization event. Next is post fertilization event. As we know, in post fertilization the events occur after fertilization. After fertilization the zygote will form. And the zygote start dividing mitotically. It goes through mitosis to form embryo. And that process is called embryogenesis. In case of plants, the zygote means the fruit start dividing and seed is formed inside it. So we can say embryogenesis. In embryogenesis, cell division means mitosis. This is cell division and cell differentiation occur. In case of higher organisms like mammals, after zygote formation, the zygote continuously goes through mitosis and different organs are produced inside the mother's body, whereas in plants the fruit formation occurs and that fruit increase in size and get mature. Clear, students? So this is called as in the plants and this is in animals. So in plants, after fertilization fruit is formed, and seed is formed. And in case of animals the embryo is formed. So on this basis the organisms are divided into as oviparous and viviparous. Oviparous means those who lays eggs, and viviparous means those who care their young ones inside their body, and they give birth directly to their young ones. So we can see oviparous and viviparous are two different type of organism in post fertilization event. Oviparous means those who lays eggs and viviparous means those who give birth directly to their young ones. So when they lay eggs, the egg is made up of calcium carbonate. Inside the hard structure, the organism grows inside it, and after a particular incubation time period, the young one is come out from the egg cell. Whereas in case of higher organisms, the embryo get matured inside the mother body, and after a particular time or given time, it comes out from the mother's body. So we can here give some examples of oviparous and viviparous. Those who lays eggs, the species of birds lay eggs, you know, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fishes, means fish. These are produce their young ones by laying eggs, means we can say that they are oviparous animals. And in viviparous, all mammals are viviparous. Clear, students? So this is your post fertilization event of human beings. Next, if we saw the let's see in case of plants what happened. In case of plants, the fruit is formed, means this is called as, and inside it seed is formed like this. So this part is called pericarp, and this is called seed. So in different fruits we can see the pericarp and seed. The pericarp is the outer layer of the fruit. Again it has 3 layers. We will study in chapter 2 in detail. In this topic, you just remember the outer cover of the fruit is called pericarp and the inner cover of the fruit, means the present inside the fruit is called seed, which will carry the embryo for the reproduction in the for growing as next generation, growing in the next generation. Or we can say that seeds conserve the embryo for the next generation. So this is how different plants and animals are so different type of gametes. Is that clear, students? So some environmental factor also responsible for determining the sex in case of some animals, like this is I think not in your NCERT book. Environmental factor also responsible for changing the sex of the organism, like in case of snail, the sex of the snail get changed, means during high temperature the male get converted into female and the female get converted into male. In case of snail, which is called pila or apple snail in English and pila in biological name. So students, this is completion of your chapter 1 and all about the introduction to fertilization, pre-fertilization and post-fertilization events. We will study our next chapter in the next class.